Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today, guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Polygon's 𝗕𝗪𝗧, taking a look at what's been going on most recently, what we think is likely to happen next, and all that wonderful stuff. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe? Tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Okay, and if you haven't yet joined us in a Discord server, links in the description down below. It is a centralized hub of everything that we do Cheeky Crypto. It's a place that we're going to notify you first of any of the breaking news in the industry. So stay ahead of the game and join us down in the Discord server. Okay. Polygon's 𝗕𝗪𝗧 paired up with USDT. This here is actually the daily chart, and we are using Binance as our data source. Now, as you can see, the big blue box, this here is the performance of 2021's bull run. It was 46,000% in gains, and you know, it was pretty good. We've pulled back quite a bit as well, and I do kind of want to do a video dedicated to maybe next year's or the next bull run when it comes to Polygon's 𝗕𝗪𝗧, but I'll probably save that for another day. But do let me know in the comments if you're interested in knowing what kind of future price kind of predictions Polygon's 𝗕𝗪𝗧 might be showing from an Elliott wave theory perspective. But for now, I want to focus in on this corrective move that is going on over here. Okay, so if we take a look at this, we can kind of see we've got this interesting kind of structure move down to this low point. I'm pretty happy with this low point down here, and it was obviously a reason that I actually bought Polygon's 𝗕𝗪𝗧. I think it was around the 46-cent range, somewhere around here, as we were kind of coming down into the final lows, and then we rode it up. Now, there was a reason for this, is basically it looks like a 335 corrective structure ending down here at 31 cent. So from a corrective pattern, it was actually looking really good. So if I go up in here, for example, and I bring onto here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So we had this really good kind of structure, and it was basically 3 down, 3 up. This is really small, but you can kind of see it, 3 up there. So 3 down, 3 up, 5 down. Okay, 335. It's pretty much a regular kind of corrective move. Nothing unusual about it. Okay, that brought us down to this low point. Then we started to move on up, and the move to the upside here was very good. It did look like we were moving up in an impulsive way, but we definitely did cool off a little bit here, and we started again to kind of come up here. Now, here's where it started to really break down. And again, you know, we're following this in many different ways. For a while, we were looking at it as maybe this is a fourth wave movement at 130, but that did get invalidated when it crossed this low point. So initially we were thinking, okay, well, maybe this is some kind of diagonal. We go up, we come down for 3, we'll come up for 4, and we come down in 5, right? That's the initial kind of thought pattern. However, obviously with this crossing this area, that's invalidated. That's not the pattern that's going on. So instead 335 is the next best fit to that. That means that 31.6 cent is actually a really good low level here for Polygon's 𝗕𝗪𝗧. It means that this is a good area to think of maybe as a good kind of bottom for this bear market. Now, this did happen in June, and we haven't come back down to revisit it. Okay, so it looks like a pretty reasonable area. Now, with this move to the upside, we want to kind of think of this as, you know, a good structure, but it doesn't look like it is. And we're still probably going to have to come all the way back down into these low ranges, even potentially breaking the 31.6 cent level. Now, that obviously does feel a little bit unusual at times, but let me show you, right? So if we take a look at this and we go ahead and grab hold of this low level here, and we grab this high level, move it over to this existing bounce right here, you can see it comes down to about 14 cent. And, you know, if we think about some of these key areas that we could visit on this journey, we could kind of have ourselves a really broad kind of idea that, you know, the price might land somewhere in between any of these kind of key areas, right? We look at it as like a big yellow box, anywhere between 14 and 43 cent, but it's not overly useful to have such a wide area to be thinking about accumulation. So, you know, it's one of those. It does look like we need to pull back down, but nothing moves in straight lines, so it'll be very choppy. Now, I know a lot of people will be thinking, how on earth do you get to 14 cent? And essentially, you know, that seems like really unrealistic. A lot of people were saying the same thing to me when Zilliqa was up at 28 cent, and I was saying it's got to come down to 4 cent. And, you know, we came down a little lower than that. I think we're currently at 2 cent. These things do happen. And in the case of Polygon's 𝗕𝗪𝗧 here, I think the FTX Alameda research, the whole kind of market, and companies going into bankruptcy and all these things, that is where 𝗕𝗃 might have this exposure to actually be the catalyst to bring this down, as in those companies that are going bankrupt do have exposure to 𝗕𝗃, meaning that those assets are going to get liquidated. So at some point, there's going to be a lot of additional supply entering into the system, which will drag price down, okay, specifically if demand is low during this bear market. So that means that, yeah, we could probably see this kind of playing out, and we could potentially see this come down lower. In an ideal world, though, I would like it to hold the 31.6 cent level. And then we'd have some pretty good predictions over the next bull run. If we do break down as low as 14 cent, then we are kind of coming right the way back down to some of these key areas that we were at previously. It's not overly problematic, but it's not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. And you can see it's a big kind of three-wave drop if that is the case. So for Polygon's 𝗕𝗃 here, it does look like we have to have this kind of correction play out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove these and then jump on down into the smaller time frames. Down into the hourly here, and we can start thinking about what's going on with all of these kind of recent moves in the space. So inside here, for example, we have this really interesting kind of structure, lots of bouncing going on, and we could argue that maybe that is a 5-wave move, but I think it probably better suits a 3-wave structure. We move up in 3, looking like we're coming down in 3, ready to move up in 3. It's very, very corrective, and you can kind of see all of this here. It's all just bouncing around corrective moves. They're not showing us a clear indication of clear structured trends or anything like that. Okay, so for example, I can wrap this one up in a much bigger structure, so I can go up here 1, 2, and then up there for 3, for example, and you can kind of get the idea, right? We've got a nice kind of structure, but it's all corrective, and there isn't anything more to it. We are not looking at anything that is a trend or an impulsive structure. So this basically means that we're going to be very choppy. It's going to be a little bit all over the place, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to be predictive over on these smaller timeframes, as the volatility is definitely there. Now, as I bring up the stochastic RSIs, you can see that we are a little bit all over the place as well, oversold on the monthly, the daily, and the 8-hourly, but not on the weekly, 4-hour, or 1-hour. Basically meaning that we're going to see a lot of volatility here. We're going to see things move up quite a bit, then crash down again, and I do think we're going to see a lot of it, unfortunately, when it comes to Polygon's 𝗕𝗃. A lot of traps potentially for a lot of retail investors getting stuck into and stopped out at times if they are leveraged traders. So just be aware that there's a lot of things to kind of consider here with Polygon's 𝗕𝗃. But that being said, I still think it's going to do incredibly well in the next run. Okay, in the next bull market, I do expect Polygon 𝗕𝗃 to perform incredibly well. Now, the lower that it goes in this bear market, the more X's that we're going to see slightly longer term. As I said at the beginning of this video, right, we saw 46,000% in gains during that 2021 run. Now, I'm not expecting the same kind of gains. I think that would be, far too unrealistic. But I would expect decent amount of gains to be made. Now, if I were to take this existing low and kind of think about going up maybe up into some of these key areas, we can probably see a fair few %1000% on this, but I wouldn't expect terribly too much more than that. But the lower that it goes, the more profit potential this thing will have for us. So if we do come down towards that 14 cent level and we do hit, let's say, 14 cent, then we start coming up into these higher ranges. We start talking about 7,000 or so % in gains. I do think that 𝗕𝗃 has that $10 potential, but again, we'll have to see how things kind of go in the coming coming weeks and months, essentially, here for Polygon's 𝗕𝗃. I'm going to leave this video there, but do join us down in Discord. We actually do TA on 𝗕𝗃 pretty much every single day, keeping it up to date for our Patreon members via the Discord server. So if this is one of the things that you're super interested in, definitely think you should be checking that out. If you found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And guys, I'll catch you all in the next one.